good day, guys. My name is Vasanth. I'm a NEET expert. I try to help achieve the NEET aspirants the goal that they've always wanted to reach. And I've been doing this for more than 9+ years. And I have a lot of experience, and I'm really here to share with you guys. Today, we're going to deal with a chapter named Natural Resources from class 9. And in this, we are going to cover a few of the topics, and let's get into the topic, shall we? Just allow me a minute. I hope everybody is able to see the screen. Okay, so let's quickly see the content that we are going to cover. The topics that we are going to cover in this, which include the biogeochemical cycle continuation, because there is a previous video. If you have not seen that video, I would suggest you to see that video and then come back to this video so that you will understand the continuation, what I was talking about. It will actually avoid a lot of confusion. Okay. So now the biogeochemical cycle is is the continuation of whatever we saw. We already saw water cycle in the previous video. So it will be just a continuation of whatever other cycles that we are going to study in this chapter. Okay. And a part of that would be like carbon cycle, and then like nitrogen cycle, and then greenhouse effect and global warming. So we're going to study in a nutshell about all these things in detail. Okay. Let's get on to this without any delay. So I have already told you what is biogeochemical cycle. So let me brief it again. So the chemical substances that are actually found in the organ, found in the the whole earth, okay, will be utilized by the organism, and then it go into the cycle of biotic and abiotic cycle. Okay, it goes into the phase of moves through a pathway in the form of through biotic and abiotic forms. So what do you mean by that? So every chemicals that is actually found in the body that is used in the living organism, like nitrogen, like carbon and water. So it enters into the body in their form and then exit out of the body in the same form or at different forms, and then later get processed and becomes a part of the atmosphere, and later gets converted to a different form in the atmosphere and then gets back into our body. So if you see, from the abiotic component, and abiotic is actually the environment, and the biotic is actually the human, and the abiotic is the environment. So this is actually biogeochemical cycle, the chemical cycle that happens in between the earth, the surface, the abiotic process, and the living organism. So that happens in between the living and the non-living, or biotic and abiotic components of this very environment is called biogeochemical cycle. So let's see one of the cycle, which would be carbon cycle. So we all know what is carbon. Carbon is actually a chemical substance, and it is one of the most important material in organic compounds, which you have studied in lower classes also. But it is abundant in the atmosphere. Yes, it is. It is in gaseous form. It is in solid form, and also in some ways we can usually make it as liquid form also. So here the carbon that is available in this very earth, is in the form of solid carbon. Okay, that is also available, and also in the form of gaseous carbon. So in the case of gaseous carbon, it is available in the form of carbon dioxide. So this carbon dioxide is eventually used for the process of photosynthesis in plants. So you can see this during the respiration in plants. Okay, during respiration in plants, the process of photosynthesis. Okay, and photosynthesis in plants. They actually receive carbon dioxide and then use it to produce carbohydrate. So there are two ways it reaches to the land. How? After it reaches to the plants, they make a carbohydrate out of it, and those will be consumed by animals. Okay, and the plants which have retained some of the carbons into them, so they will also undergo decaying and they'll form dead organisms. So the animal, their waste products and their material, which actually is made up by the carbon that is consumed, will also be released when they are dead. So all these, combine together to form an organic material. So these materials will undergo constant degradation by decomposers, or the decomposers are microorganisms and other waste eating or detritivores. We call it detritivores, DETRI, DEITORS, detritivores. These are the organisms which feeds on dead and decaying organisms. So the decaying material will be taken into and then digested and then made into simpler substances. That's done by microorganisms and some of the other living organisms as well. In other cases, this carbon compounds will be undergoing lot of pressure and temperature, will result in an enclosed decaying that results in retention and formation of hydrocarbons. The carbon and hydrogen combine together to form hydrocarbons. So this becomes a very good fuel. So we call this fossil fuel. So once after it reaches the it has been extracted and used and stuff like that, that will also be used in the real life, in human being life. It will be used as fuel, and some of the fossil fuels are used as a fuel in running the machineries and stuff, and that will be releasing carbon dioxide. Obviously they'll be releasing carbon dioxide upon combustion, and that carbon dioxide will replenish the carbon dioxide that was utilized by the plants on a regular basis. So if you see the carbon dioxide, the carbon which is in the form of carbon dioxide reach the plants and reach the other forms of animals and organisms that is involved in this ecosystem or the very environment. So then later it get broken down and then processed, and then it goes to become a fossil fuel. And then after the fossil fuel is extracted out, and then they are being utilized and burnt in the general, by the general public, and even by the for running the big machineries and stuff. So that results in release of high amount of carbon dioxide, and that goes back into the atmosphere again. So this is how the carbon is constantly kept in cyclic pathway. So this cyclic pathway of carbon, being utilized and then released back into the atmosphere, being utilized from the atmosphere and released back into the atmosphere, is like a cyclic process. So this is what is called as carbon cycle. I hope you would have understood about carbon cycle very clearly. So let's get into the next one. So next one involves the greenhouse effect. So what is greenhouse effect? So first of all, you need to know what is greenhouse gas. So the process of avoiding or retaining the temperature, which are being bounced back from Earth and then retaining it in the atmosphere itself. Okay. This process is actually called greenhouse effect. It's process greenhouse effect. So greenhouse gases involve carbon dioxide, methane, CFC. So these are very major components that offers the process of, or in the process of greenhouse effects. So greenhouse effect literally is like a natural process that literally keeps the warming of Earth. So what if due to a lot of human interaction and stuff, we produce more amount of carbon dioxide and methane and CFC also, that would allow the gases to form a layer around the Earth. So this forming layer around the Earth will literally lead to a complete enclosure. What is enclosure? This enclosure will literally form a barrier. So with this barrier, the light or the heat energy that has been sent from the sun will reach and then will get reflected and deflected. So this process, when such a thing happens, the heat will not be allowed to pass through this gaseous layer. So what happens here? It will get bounced back on the Earth's surface, as a result of which the heat will be retained in the Earth's atmosphere. So this results in heating up of the Earth's surface. So this process is called greenhouse effect. So greenhouse effect is the retention of heat instead of getting released by a blanket of gaseous material that is available enclosing the Earth because of human activity. causing increase in temperature of Earth's surface, and that results to adverse conditions. So it will be very very harmful for living organisms if there is a sudden increase in the temperature. When there is a sudden increase in temperature, there are lots of organisms which cannot be able to withstand that temperature, and that leads to a lot of extinction. So this is about greenhouse effect. I hope everybody understood about greenhouse effect. Let's go to the next topic. So the next topic involves global warming. So due to this greenhouse effect, I told you that the temperature of the Earth literally goes increasing. So that increasing of temperature and the warming up of the globe, the Earth globe, is called global warming. So this constant increase in temperature of the Earth's atmosphere, so because of certain gases, which are the greenhouse gases, results in a complete loss of the living nature, and the organisms and their diversity is literally lost because their habitat is lost. The conditions that is required for them to live in that region will be like lost because of increase in temperature, as a result of which the organisms will not be able to survive. That would actually be the cause of extinction of lots of animals in this process. Okay, that's why it is very very harmful thing to happen. Okay, and all the countries of this very world have a total concern on this greenhouse effect and global warming stuff. So they're because of global warming, all the possible things that could go bad is this would actually lead to drought, because excessive loss of water. Okay, and then a sudden unexpected climatical change will lead to floods. So millions of people will be losing their life, and due to constant acidification of ocean. Okay, that leads to loss of biodiversity in the ocean, and ecosystem, the complete ecosystem. As I told you, a lot of organisms will be losing their habitat. So that will be gone, and a human being who cannot sustain the heat that is retained in the atmosphere will be will be losing their life, and that is also causing. And due to constant rise in temperature in different regions, a specific period of time, there is constant displacement of people from one place to another, and the oxygen that is present in the ocean will be completely dissolved, completely less, because the diffusion of gas will not take place, and the water will not be in proper places. It will be raining at different places. It will be raining faulty. A different location at different time, which is not expected. So obviously there will be a catastrophic event due to global warming. The complete monsoon will be messed up, and the complete system of life will be messed up. So that's what the huge implication of global warming is. Okay. So the next topic after global warming is nitrogen cycle. This is one of the biogeochemical cycle. So nitrogen is also one of the abundant chemical substance that is present in the atmosphere. We have learned already about it, somewhere around 78%. So this nitrogen cannot be taken into plants because plants requires nitrogen, and that is one way how the other organisms actually procure nitrogen and stuff. So nitrogen in different forms. So this nitrogen that is present in the atmosphere cannot be absorbed by the plants directly. So you need certain microorganisms which establishes a symbiotic relationship. I repeat, symbiotic relationship. Sorry. Symbiotic relationship. This symbiotic relationship actually is what both of them will be beneficial. Both benefited. So this symbiotic relationship will have both the organism that is involved in the relationship will get benefited. So this symbiotic relationship will definitely create a huge transition of the gaseous nitrogen, which cannot be absorbed by the plants directly. Instead, the microorganisms get in a relationship with them, with the plants, forming nodules in their roots and other ways, and then converts the nitrogen and then and then fixes them in the plants and the soil. so that it can be taken up by the plants for them to grow. So the process of nitrogen fixation is called nitrification, or and then the nitrification is of various types. Here, first of all, it is called ammonia formation. Okay, so it's called ammonia formation or ammonification. And after that, the process of nitrification, it gets converted to nitrates and nitrites. So these nitrates and nitrites will be used by the plants directly, and then amino acids are formed, and that forms the biomass of the organism in the plants. And these biomass will be consumed by the other organisms and then takes part. So the nitrogen, that is getting converted to nitrates and nitrates, that has been retained in the soil, will be undergoing degradation. That is called denitrification. So these nitrates and nitrates will be deformed, and then again will be liberated into the atmosphere in the form of nitrogen. And again, the nitrogenous biomass, which are degraded, it again contributes to the denitrification process, and then later enters in. So such denitrification, when it takes place, most of the nitrogen material will be reaching out to the nearby water sources, causing eutrophication, because due to accumulation of several chemical substances into the water resources. So that would be the nitrogen cycle, where the nitrogen will be starting at one point and then utilized and then used. So another point is where the nitrogen will get fixed artificially by the fertilizers company. So they actually give out a lot of byproducts. So those byproducts will also be a part of ammonia, and then later gets nitrification, and then used in the plants for their usage. And some of them will undergo denitrification, and then that adds up to the atmospheric nitrogen. So this is nitrogen cycle. You can see the nitrogen is being transformed into different types by different microorganisms and other natural process and even artificial process that keeps the nitrogen in between the abiotic and biotic circle. So this cycle is representing the biogeochemical cycle of nitrogen. So I hope you have understood about biogeochemical cycle of nitrogen. And then let's see the steps. So the first one is nitrogen fixation. So that's the first step. The first step is the atmospheric nitrogen is actually the form of N2. So this is the molecular formula of nitrogen, and they are totally inert in nature. So what actually happens is they actually have to be converted into a usable ammonia form, just as I told you. Okay. So next process, nitrification, that the ammonia gets converted into NH3 will get converted into nitrosomonas bacteria, which is mentioned over here, into nitrites and nitrates. Okay, so after this process comes the assimilation. So when the nitrates and nitrates are being formed, they could be readily consumed by the plants in that process. So as a result of which the nitrogen ions and the ammonia and all these things will be used in the formation of biomass in plants. And these ammonia, the other nitrogenous product results in formation of amino acids. And these amino acids result in formation of proteins. And these proteins will be converting into animal protein and plant protein that forms the biomass of the organism. So that's what the assimilated nitrogen will be used for. So the next product is called ammonification. Ammonification is where the organism that is actually present in the nitrogen material that is present in the soil, organic material, they get decomposed by decomposers, so microorganisms and the natural process. As a result of which, they get converted from the organic material into the ammonium again. This ammonium gets converted to the nitrogen, and that gets added into the cycle. So this process called denitrification, where the conversion of nitrates into gaseous nitrogen takes place. So this process called denitrification. So totally there are 5 steps. The first one is fixing up of nitrogen into ammonia, and nitrification is where the ammonia will get converted into nitrates and then nitrates. And then assimilation is where this nitrogen product is utilized to make some biomass for plants and animals. And ammonification is where the organic material is converted into ammonia, And then after that comes denitrification. Denitrification is a process where the nitrates and nitrates will get converted into the atmospheric nitrogen that is gaseous in nature. So as a fact, like you can see that the nitrogen is actually kept in a constant cycle where nitrogen is being utilized and then being like replenished back into the atmosphere. So this cyclic event is called nitrogen cycle. So it is actually a part where the nitrogen is kept in interaction with the abiotic and biotic segment of the whole living environment. So that is why it is actually a part of biogeochemical cycle. I hope everybody would have understood this. Let's go to the next slide. So we have a few questions that we can discuss. What is the function of nitrifying bacteria? Very simple question. It is just a group of bacteria that is involved in conversion of ammonia into nitrates. So this is the main function of the nitrifying bacteria. So it actually converts the ammonia into nitrates. Okay, I hope this is a very easy question actually. Most of you would be wondering whether to write ammonia or nitrates and anything. So that's why I have used this question over here to help you understand the process. What is the part of plant involved in the nitrogen fixation? So I have already told you they have a symbiotic relationship, but I didn't reveal what was the part which where they'll be having symbiotic relationship. It is actually the root. Okay, they form nodular structures. Let's say this is roots. Okay, this is roots, and they will have a nodular structure here and there where they'll be having a symbiotic relationship with the nitrification bacteria that results in fixing of nitrogen into atmospheric nitrogen into the form of nitrates and nitrites, so that the plant could absorb them very easily to facilitate them in the process of growth of the organism and the process of growing other materials in the ecosystem as well. So this is the answer for next question. And thank you so much, guys, for your time with us. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and we have lots of other videos which you can watch and get yourself clarity. And don't stop yourself just with our videos. Try to join our live classes. We'll have more interesting interaction. Live interaction is always good. So where the classes will be more enjoyable, and you will definitely love it. And if you have any questions based on this concept that you have learned, you're very much welcome to post them in the forum in our websites, and you will get answers very quickly, because we have dedicated faculties who are working on these facts, things so that we can help you at the right time. Have a nice day, guys. Thank you so much. We'll meet in the next video.